Close your eyes for just 3 seconds and imagine waking up one morning to find your 2 golden retrievers standing completely still in the backyard. Not barking, not chasing, just frozen, watching something. And when you walk outside, you realize they've formed a protective circle around a trembling fawn so small it could fit inside a laundry basket. That's not a movie. That actually happened. And what followed over the next 3 months will make you question everything you think you know about the boundaries of love. The property sits on the outskirts of a small town in rural Virginia, where thick pine forests press against the edge of a wide green lawn. Morning fog rolls in heavy off the creek, and white-tailed deer pass through the tree line every few days like quiet ghosts. The family, a retired couple named George and Elaine, had owned the property for over 20 years. They kept 2 golden retrievers, brothers from the same litter, named Buddy and Finn. Both were 7 years old, both were soft, loyal, and unshakably gentle. It was a Tuesday in late May when Elaine first noticed something was wrong. Buddy had stopped eating his breakfast. He sat at the back door, whimpering in a low, almost pleading tone, pawing at the glass. When she let him out, he didn't run. He walked, slowly, deliberately, toward the far corner of the yard where the lawn dipped down toward the creek bank. And then she saw it. A fawn, barely hours old, lying flat against the earth in a posture that wildlife biologists call hider behavior, a survival instinct that causes newborn deer to go absolutely motionless, relying on camouflage when their mother is absent. Its spotted coat barely moved with each shallow breath. Its legs were folded beneath it like paper, and it was completely alone. Elaine knew enough not to panic. Deer mothers often leave their fawns hidden while they forage. It's nature's way of reducing scent and predator attention. She brought Buddy back inside and waited. But by hour 6, no doe had returned. By hour 12, the fawn hadn't moved. By morning of the second day, something had changed, and not for the better. The temperature had dropped overnight. A slow spring rain was falling, and when Elaine looked out at that corner of the yard, she saw Buddy and Finn lying on either side of the fawn like 2 warm walls of fur, their bodies gently pressed against it, sharing heat. They hadn't been let out. They had pushed through the back screen door themselves. She ran outside expecting chaos. What she found was the opposite. Buddy had his chin rested gently across the fawn's neck. Finn was licking water droplets off the fawn's back with the careful patience of a mother cleaning a newborn. The fawn, instead of bolting, which even injured fawns will instinctively try to do, was still, breathing deeply, calm. George called a licensed wildlife rehabilitator named Patricia Holloway that same morning. She arrived within the hour, examined the fawn, and delivered news that was both sobering and urgent. The fawn, a female, approximately 36 hours old, was severely dehydrated and showed signs of mild hypothermia. Her mother, Dr. Holloway suspected, was likely struck by a vehicle on the highway just north of the property. Without intervention, this fawn had perhaps another 24 hours. But here's where the story turns. Dr. Holloway had rehabilitated over 300 deer in her career. She had never, in all those years, seen what she witnessed when she approached to begin treatment. Buddy stood up, not aggressively but firmly, and placed himself between the fawn and the stranger. He didn't growl, he didn't snap. He just stood there, looking at Dr. Holloway with quiet, steady eyes that said plainly, "Be careful with her." It took 15 minutes of calm reassurance before he allowed her close enough to work. And even then, both dogs remained within 2 feet of the fawn for the entire examination. When the fawn cried out, a high, heartbreaking bleat unlike anything Elaine had heard before, Finn pressed his nose gently against her cheek, and she went quiet. Dr. Holloway made the decision, with George and Elaine's full commitment, to attempt an in-home rehabilitation, rather than removing the fawn to a facility. The reasoning was unusual but sound. The fawn had already formed what appeared to be a genuine attachment bond with the dogs. Separating risked compounding the trauma. The dogs would in effect become surrogate caregivers. Over the following 10 weeks, a fawn they named Grace grew from a trembling handful of spotted vulnerability into a bright-eyed, quick-footed young deer who sprinted circles around Buddy and Finn in the afternoon sun. She nursed from a bottle 4 times a day. She slept between the 2 dogs on a blanket in the mudroom. She learned to trust humans because 2 golden retrievers had told her, without a single word, that this place was safe. There were hard days, a respiratory infection in week 4 that nearly undid everything, a night when Grace became so distressed she ran headfirst into the fence and had to be sedated, a morning when Finn, exhausted and aging, couldn't get up fast enough when Grace needed him, and Buddy covered, lying beside her for 3 unbroken hours. But Grace, in every sense of the word, prevailed. On a golden Thursday in late August, Dr. Holloway supervised the soft release near the forest edge. Grace walked toward the tree line slowly. She stopped once, turned back, and looked at Buddy and Finn standing at the yard's edge with their tails swinging low and easy. Then she stepped into the forest and was gone. She was seen again 3 days later, grazing at the tree line at dusk, healthy, alert, and free. 2 dogs who didn't have to do anything chose to do everything, and a life that should have ended in that cold rain lived on because of it. That's not just nature, that's something deeper than science has a clean name for. If this story moved you the way it moved everyone who witnessed it firsthand, hit the like button right now and subscribe, because we tell stories like this every week, stories where the world, against all odds, gets it right.